Welcome back to CBC News BC. I am Jessica Chung here in the CBC Vancouver newsroom. We're continuing to follow the aftermath of the mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge. We've got the latest, so let's get right to it. We're learning more about some of the victims of the shooting. 12-year-old Abel Mwansa was killed at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. He is one of 6 people killed there on Tuesday afternoon. Most of them were children. Now, Abel's father says he was born in Zambia, with the family moving to Canada in 2023. He calls his son a great boy, ambitious, and a leader, adding everyone in the small community knew him. Now, the shooter's mother, 39-year-old Jennifer Strang, is also among those who were killed. She was found dead in their family home along with her 11-year-old son. And Prime Minister Mark Carney is expected to visit Tumbler Ridge tomorrow to support the community following Tuesday's mass shooting. His office says at the invitation of the mayor, Carney will travel to Tumbler Ridge and he will attend a vigil there in memory of the victims. Now, other officials are already there, including Premier David Eby, which made a visit to the Growing Memorial this morning to pay his respects, lay some flowers. Now, today has been declared a day of mourning in British Columbia. It's meant to honor the victims. Flags are at half-mast across the country. The BC government planned to present its throne speech today, but instead, Lieutenant Governor Wendy Kokia will read a speech in honor of the victims. And the community has been coming together in the wake of this tragedy. A vigil was held last night at the BC Legislature, but also in Tumbler Ridge, a chance for residents to remember those they lost and also give their support to the 2 individuals wounded in the shooting that are still in hospital. Now, that includes a 12-year-old girl, Maya Gabala. There was a moment of silence given to her during the vigil, something Premier David Eby was touched by.
The profound tragedy of a beautiful child who went to school. He's full of joy, love. He's clinging to life in a hospital right now, and the other children who have died.
Now, people across Canada have offered best wishes to Maya and her family, including Canadian hockey legend Hayley Wickenheiser, who took to social media to ask the hockey community to support the family. And we're hearing more and more stories about the experiences people had on that Tuesday afternoon. And our chief correspondent, Adrian Arsenault, spoke with a father whose daughter was there and survived. Now, he recounts getting a call from his daughter saying that there's a shooter in the school. He rushed there, and for hours, he waited.
I was crying outside the school. I'll tell you that right now. I was in tears. And it's so hard to talk about right now because of the kids that we lost, and I've watched these kids grow up since preschool. I've seen them all right through soccer and hockey and whatever else. It's devastating to see what's going on with our kids right now.
And his daughter hid in a gym equipment room with other students until it was safe to come out. It's just heartbreaking to hear those stories, and no doubt there are countless more in the community. And that is it for now. You are watching CBC News BC. We've got lots more coming up. Don't go anywhere. I'm Jessica Chung. BC Today is up next.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. It is another day of mourning right across BC as the victims of the Tumbler Ridge shooting are remembered and the community comes together to grieve. We'll check in live with our reporter on the scene and look at how we can offer support to those who need it the most. I'm Amy Bell, in for Michelle Elliott, and this is BC Today. Thanks for joining us again on radio, TV, and live stream. You can call us on our top story. How can you support those that are going through such a tragedy? Our number is 604-669-3733. That's 604-669-3733. You can also call toll-free 1-800-825-5950 or just hit pound 690 on your cell. You can email us bctoday@cbc.ca. And of course, the community in Tumbler Ridge continues to grieve after the shocking events of Tuesday's shooting. For the latest information, we're joined now by CBC reporter Bryan Labby. Bryan, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Bryan, how are you doing today?
Yeah, not too bad, actually. It's been a whirlwind here. We got into Tumbler Ridge yesterday, and it's been nonstop, really, just trying to meet all the demands that I have as a reporter covering this event, and then, of course, trying to balance just the serious nature of this story, and it's not easy. Obviously, when you're talking about children who are the victims, it's a really tough story to cover. So I definitely will be looking at ways to decompress in the days ahead, but right now we're just focusing on bringing this story to people.
And I really very much appreciate it. What are you hearing in Tumbler Ridge today?
Well, as you mentioned, people are coming together to grieve. There's so much sadness and anger, really, from some people who are just trying to find out why this happened. Last night there was a vigil in this community, and it really was a touching night. Hundreds of people showing up to stand shoulder to shoulder, to hug, to cry. They lit candles and they placed flowers and stuffed toy animals at the base of a small tree. Just a showing of this small, tight-knit community coming together to try to understand this event.
And I know this is obviously an ongoing process, but what do we know so far about the victims?
Yeah, you're right. It is an ongoing process, and it's a difficult one that requires a lot of balance and delicacy. We're dealing with people who have lost children, and this is just a horrifying scenario. So of course we have to balance all of that. We have to be respectful of the families, but it's an ongoing process. We're trying to be patient and show respect and all of that. So we're still trying to get all of the details crossed. Of course, there's so much information on social media, but we're trying to verify all of that, and it takes time. What we do know is a little bit more about 12-year-old Maya. The Premier has mentioned her. He mentioned her specifically at the vigil here in Tumbler Ridge last night. Maya was airlifted to Vancouver on Tuesday, and she is in life-threatening condition. Her mom posting on social media that her daughter is not doing well. She was shot in the head and the neck, and her mom is saying that Maya needs prayers and a miracle to survive.
And it is difficult to ask these questions as well, but are we finding out any more information about the shooter, Jesse Van Rootselaar?
Yeah, there was a lot of information actually that the RCMP provided during their briefing yesterday. We are expecting to hear a little bit more later today, but what we do know is that she was a former student at the school here, and she was assigned male at birth, but started the transition to female about 6 years ago. We are hearing from the RCMP that they visited the Van Rootselaar's home on several occasions. The calls stemmed around mental health concerns and also issues around weapons. So the RCMP confirming that at one point Van Rootselaar was detained under the Mental Health Act for assessment. We also know that weapons were seized from that home, but they were ultimately returned after the owner of the firearms petitioned to get them back. So we are learning a little bit more about them, but the big question, of course, in all of this is why. And the RCMP aren't shedding any light yet on the possible motive. They are trying to, just highlight, they're giving us a little bit in terms of the past history that they have had with the family. So that's as much information as they're providing right now.
And what about next steps for the community? Are you getting any sense of it's unimaginable, but where do you go from here?
Yeah, so you mentioned the day of mourning, so there is still a lot of mourning going on in this community and a lot of grief. There's going to be a public vigil tonight. The Prime Minister, Mark Carney, and the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, will both be in this community tomorrow for another vigil. So that's obviously a real strong message that people here are receiving, all of the outside support that Canadians are showing.
Bryan, I really appreciate you taking time with us today, and you take care.
Thank you.
That is CBC reporter Bryan Labby. He joined us live from Tumbler Ridge. And of course, we have confirmed the name of another victim, and that is Abel Mwansa, a 12-year-old boy from Tumbler Ridge. And as the messages of support and grief continue to come in from around the world in the aftermath of this mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge on Tuesday, as mentioned yesterday evening, the community of Tumbler Ridge held a vigil to honor the victims. A longtime resident who also worked in the schools for 25 years, Judy Prue, spoke with the Early Edition Stephen Quinn what the vigil was like for her.
And it's still unbelievable to me. We were all at the vigil last night, and it was good to cry. It was good to hug. The ones that you were worried about, because still some of the names are still not all out there. Believe it or not, as close as we are, I think, respecting the people's privacies and such. And it's still, and then the stories, the horror stories. I mean, like you hear people having to shut doors and kids not being in the classroom, having gone to the bathroom. And think about that. You're a kid in the bathroom, and, you hear this going on. Where are you going to hide?
To be honest, I was thinking about this last night, which is having to step foot in that school again.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's this, no. We had close to 300 people at the vigil last night, and it was so quiet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't ruckus. There was no ruckus. It was hugging, crying, just everybody sort of like uplifting each other, and it was wonderful to see. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you're going, this is not a happy time to get together, but
no.
I'm glad we did, because I needed it.
That was former school secretary Judy Prue speaking with the Early Edition host Stephen Quinn this morning. So we're asking you, how can you offer support to those affected by the tragedy? Call us now, just hit pound 690 on your cell phone, or you can call 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can also email bctoday@cbc.ca or leave a comment on our TikTok Live. We actually do have a call that has already come in that I want to get to quickly. This is from Tasha in Vancouver. Tasha, thanks so much for reaching out to us.
Thank you for continuing to give us a voice and ways to support people in Tumbler Ridge. One of the things that strikes me, especially as a retired teacher in an elementary setting, is that those lockdown drills are so important, and we do them all the time. Mm-hmm. And you never think, of course, that you're going to face a tragedy as they did up there. So I'm really feeling, as a longtime member of a school community in Richmond, for everyone in the town, and especially people connected to the school. And the kids are number one in my mind, and I know they're scared to go back. Well, I'm fortunate enough to be a therapy dog handler through St. John Ambulance and BC Pets and Friends. And I'm wondering whether, I would go up there, maybe not right away, but I have a wonderful dog, and we specialize in working with children and youth.
Wonderful.
And that's one thing that we could offer, just be an ear, and this dog is incredibly gentle and intuitive about people, especially children. So I've contacted St. John Ambulance locally,
okay,
and to see, and if anyone can get some information out there, we would go in a heartbeat to help out. And the last thing I want to say is that I've come across two ways ways to donate to help people there. One is through Lakeview Credit Union,
Yes.
which is the PAC initiative, and another one today is the Northeast BC Community Foundation. And so if you can give a few dollars, they're going to need help with all kinds of things. And if you have a few dollars, I know times are tough, but
Every little bit helps.
Every little bit helps.
Tasha, I thank you so much for calling in, for your generous offer to help with you and your dog. And in fact, joining us now are the co-chief executive officers of Lakeview Credit Union in Tumbler Ridge, Marlena Bluin and Justin Lajeunesse. As the only banking institution in Tumbler Ridge, they are organizing a fundraiser for the community, along with the Tumbler Ridge Parents Advisory Council. Good afternoon to you both, and my condolences for this tragedy that you and your staff are facing this week.
Thank you for having us.
And as we heard from our last caller, she was saying every little bit helps. It has been 2 days since the tragedy took place. How are you both coping? How is the community coping?
Well, I think for us individually, we're managing. It's really been a focus on making sure our staff are taken care of, making sure we know what we can do for our members, being there for the community. The Peace region is incredibly interknit, and so the surrounding communities are also feeling it quite strongly. And so just making sure we're taking care of our people has been our biggest focus, but it's unimagined. It's hard to comprehend even actually still 2 days later.
I think it's hard to comprehend for people across the province, but for those that are so near and so interconnected, it must just be, yes, unimaginable. Justin, I know your credit union has teamed up with the Tumbler Ridge Parents Advisory Council to do fundraising for the community. Why don't you tell us a bit more about that and how people can contribute?
Sure. Yeah. So what we've done is we've set up an account to manage those funds and to collect them in a safe and a secure way. Just knowing that fraud is still a real thing. And so what we've done is we've set up an email address called trstrong@lvcu.ca, and people can donate through e-transfers directly into that account. And then the TR PAC will then administer that and distribute those funds safely. Also, if anybody's in the communities or nearby, they can also pop into one of our 3 locations, either in Dawson Creek, Chetwynd, or Tumbler Ridge, and they can also make donations as well. And I'm proud to say, as of recording this right now and speaking to you, we've raised close to $50,000 already in just over 24 hours. So it's great to see the community and the system across Canada come together and support the people that are in need right now.
That is wonderful to hear, and it is always so remarkable how these dark times truly can bring out the best in some people. Marlena, I know that you were in Tumbler Ridge yesterday. You both are in Dawson Creek today. This is where you're from, but you were in Tumbler Ridge yesterday. What was that like? What were you hearing from the community?
It was tough. I think yesterday folks were, still deeply in shock. Yeah. And just grappling, trying to come to terms with it. Definitely, you see the closeness of the community really shine through. Folks are really leaning on each other and coming together to make sure people are supported. There's still a lot that's not known, and there's a lot of questions, and it's still very early days. But definitely, it's a challenge. There's definitely just a quietness about the town.
Yeah. And Justin, to go back to the fundraising efforts, once the money is collected, how will the funds be dispersed, maybe in the short term and then long-term goals?
Yeah, sure. So we're still working with the TR PAC to kind of figure out all the nuances of this. The most important thing is that they will have the autonomy to do that and make sure that the families and the individuals that need support get the support that they need and in a timely manner. So because this is all so fluid, we're still working that out. But basically, all of the funds are going to be distributed through the TR PAC, and they're working together to set up rules and guidelines around how that gets distributed.
All right. I do have a call that's come in from our audience. I just want to bring that up from Tina in Vernon. Hi, Tina. How are you feeling today?
Well, quite unsettled, like many other people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to call in because I work with youth. I'm actually a mental health and substance use clinician at the health unit in Vernon, and I work with youth doing groups around mental health and substance use. And I just came from a group where just before we started out, a youth walked into the room and said, "Oh, I'd say I'm here to shoot the place up, but I'm not trans."
Oh, that is very upsetting.
I think I'm still very upset, and the whole room just was silent. And I think people were in shock and didn't know what to say. And I'm leaving feeling like I really should have stood up and said something, because I just want people to know who are trans out there that there is support and there's help. And I hope that there's not a backlash against certain people.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to say that there's a number of people do want help and support. It's 310-6789. I think it's really important that we don't point fingers or blame anyone and come from a place of curiosity and understanding. And I think it can be really harmful to add hate to this. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I really appreciate that. And I am so sorry that you had to be part of that discussion and those comments, Tina, but thank you for sharing. And yes, a time of understanding and grace for everybody is what the community needs. Before I let you guys go, in terms of what we can see from businesses and the impact that they can have in the coming days, how can the business community sort of rally around the people of Tumbler Ridge? Marlena, I'll go with you.
Sure. I think our communities are so close-knit and so in tune with what's going on. Our businesses are in a perfect position to be able to provide some financial support where it's needed, but also there's going to be, unknown needs in terms of logistics and resources, and that community is going to need in the coming days and weeks. Mm-hmm. And our communities always, businesses especially, come together to support in a big way. And the financial need is going to probably be the most immediate area where we can make a difference for these folks.
Right. And Justin, before I let you go, can I just get the website again so that people can reach out and donate if they choose?
For sure, yeah. So they can reach out directly to our website. So that's www.lakeviewcreditunion.com. Or if they want to, they can send an e-transfer to trstrong@lvcu.ca.
Wonderful. I really appreciate you both joining us today and also for all of the support you're giving to the community. Take care.
Thank you very much. You as well.
That was Marlena Bluin and Justin Lajeunesse. They are the co-CEOs of Lakeview Credit Union in Tumbler Ridge, and they both joined us from Dawson Creek. If you do need support, you can call 310 Mental Health Support at 310-6789, or you can call the Kids Help Phone, 1-800-668-6868, or text CONNECT to 6868. And youth can also go to foundrybc.ca. Time for a couple of emails that we have received. This one comes in from Marnie in Vancouver. She writes, "To the people of Tumbler Ridge, my heart breaks with you. I haven't stopped crying since I heard. What you are all going through is unimaginable, especially in a small town where everyone knows one another. I'm a retired high school teacher and have gone through 2 code reds, and the fear is real. And for my parents, it's the ultimate nightmare. First thing I did was call my own son, who's studying to be a teacher. All teachers, staff, and students are thinking of you and listening for how we can support you and each other. I know this tragedy will be with you for a long time." Time now for an Olympic update from Milan Cortina.
Welcome to your Olympic Games report. I'm Amber Giro. It was a photo finish at the men's snowboard cross final today.
Grondin into the lead for Canada. Oh, this is going to be tight. All 4 riders battling for gold. Who's going to get it? It's Hammerley.
Canadian Elliot Grondin won the silver medal. He was narrowly edged out by Austria's Alessandro Hammerley by a mere 0.03 seconds. Wow. Grondin's next opportunity for a medal will be this Sunday in the mixed team snowboard cross event. Canada has skied its way to another silver medal, this time in the men's mogul events.
Okay. And he's first! McKinnon 371! He's in first right now. Let's just take this all in. The king has done it again.
In a dramatic finish, Canadian Michael Kingsbury ended the final tied with Australia's Cooper Woods, but the judges felt Woods' technical movements were slightly cleaner, giving him the advantage to win the gold. Despite the narrow loss, Kingsbury set a major milestone, becoming the first freestyle skier in history to win 4 Olympic medals. Canada's men opened their hockey tournament today. Despite Czechia's impressive goalie, Canada easily shut them out 5-0. It was the same story for the Canadian women, who were making up that game against Finland. And they too earned a 5-0 shutout. The CBC's Carissa Donkin was watching the game.
The Canadian women's hockey team couldn't crack the score sheet against a dominant American team earlier this week. It was the first time they were shut out at the Olympics, failing to generate much of anything from dangerous areas of the ice. The game against Finland on Thursday was a dramatically different story. 4 different players scored in the win, including Saskatoon's Emily Clark, who lit the lamp twice.
Now it's Clark for the wraparound. She scores! Emily Clark, the wraparound for the Canadians.
Jen Gardner, Kristen O'Neill, and Daryl Watts all added to the total. And Anne-Renee Desbiens made 17 saves in the shutout.
And for the charge, it's Nicola Desbiens stands tall.
Next up is Germany. That will begin the elimination round for the Canadians. The two teams have never played at the Olympic level, and the Germans are ranked 8th in the world. If Canada hopes to make it back to the top of the podium, the team will need to channel some of the offense and defensive details they used against Finland. Carissa Donkin, CBC Olympics, Toronto.
A disappointing end for Quebec's Elizabeth Hosking.
Oh, no. That has been the toughest spot for Liz Hosking, falling in that same spot. A tough end to the Olympic final for Liz Hosking.
The Canadian snowboarder crashed during her final run. She was down for a few minutes after her fall, but was able to walk away on her own. The 24-year-old ended up in 11th place. It was also a tough day for Canada on the speed skating long track. Reigning Olympic silver medalist Isabelle Weideman and Laura Hall were unable to make it to the podium. The CBC's Omar Dabagi-Pacheco reports.
In the women's 5,000-meter event, Canadian hopes were on the shoulders of Isabelle Weideman, winner of the Olympic silver medal in the distance in Beijing 2022. But the field of competitors was extremely strong. The gold medal going to Italy's Francesca Lollobrigida. This comes on the heels of her 3,000-meter gold medal right here in Milan days ago. Second place to Meryl Connie of the Netherlands, and the bronze medal to Norway's Ragne Vikland. Vikland happens to be a close friend of Canada's Isabelle Weideman. After the race, Weideman told me she felt strong and confident, but just could not keep up. Just under 4 seconds between her and the podium. The next long track event will be Friday for Canada's Ted-Jan Blumen in the men's 10,000-meter event. It's a distance he won at the Olympics in 2018. This will be his final race of his final Olympics, so expect a lot of emotion on the ice. Omar Dabagi-Pacheco, CBC Olympics, Milan, Italy.
And taking a look at the medal count so far, Team Canada has added 2 medals to its haul. That is thanks to Elliot Grandin's snowboard cross taking the silver medal and Michael Kingsbury bringing home the silver in the men's moguls. That brings Canada's medal count to 6 overall, 3 silver and 3 bronze. And that is your Olympic Games report. I'm Amber Giro.
Good afternoon. I'm Robert Zimmerman with the latest headlines from Vancouver. A grieving father is speaking today about his 12-year-old son who was one of the victims in the Tumbler Ridge mass shooting this week. Abel Mwansa says his son Abel Jr. was a great boy, ambitious, and a leader, adding everyone in the small community knew him. Meanwhile, 12-year-old Maya Gabala survived the shooting but is fighting for her life with critical injuries. She's in hospital. Gabala's mother says her daughter needs a miracle. Prime Minister Mark Carney is expected to visit Tumbler Ridge tomorrow to support the community. His office says Carney will attend a vigil in memory of the victims. And today is a day of mourning here in BC. The government planned to present its throne speech today, but instead Lieutenant Governor Wendy Kokia will read a speech in honor of the victims. And now the forecast on the north coast, a chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon with strong winds and a high of 7. Highs around 7 with a mix of sun and cloud in the Peace. In the central interior, including Prince George, a chance of showers with a high of 5. Highs up to 6 degrees with some sunshine this afternoon in the Kootenays. In the southern interior, including Kelowna, mainly sunny with a high of 8. And for Metro Vancouver, Greater Victoria, and the Fraser Valley, mainly cloudy this afternoon with highs around 9 degrees. That's your CBC News update from Vancouver.
Thank you so much, Rob. And the Tumbler Ridge shooting continues to, the shock over the Tumbler Ridge shooting continues to ripple across BC today. And for more, we're now joined by our CBC legislative reporter, Katie DeRosa. She joins us from Victoria. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Amy.
So to recognize the Provincial Day of Mourning, there was a moment of silence at the BC legislature earlier to remember the victims of Tumbler Ridge. What is the mood like in Victoria today?
Yeah, very, very somber. Of course, the flag is at half-mast. Lieutenant Governor Wendy Kokia arrived, quietly without sort of the ceremony that usually accompanies the throne speech. She and many other MLAs dressed in black. They have, these black ribbons that they're wearing in memory of the victims in Tumbler Ridge. And also, so the legislature opened with a prayer by Kelly Green. She spoke about the hope and love and comfort that BC is sending to the families and the victims in Tumbler Ridge. And that was followed by that minute of silence. Again, you could hear a pin drop in the legislature. It was, people were wiping away tears. And so I think that is the mood, is just trying to find ways to support the families, as we hear more about the individual children who have died, about Maya who remains in hospital. That's really, top of mind here.
And Katie, I know that you were also at a vigil last night, so maybe tell us more about that.
Yeah, so last night, almost 200 MLAs and as well, staff and the members of the public were gathered outside the legislature with candles and just messages of support. Very emotional. Speaker Raj Chawan said that the kids went to school that day with, dreams of their future, and some of them did not go home. And it was just that really captured the mood of just how heartbreaking it was. Tears in Heaven by Eric Clapton was playing, and it was just a lot of hugs. And again, everyone here in the building in the legislature is saying they're putting politics aside. The partisanship is gone. Typically, throne speech day might be jabs by the opposition against the government. That is all really put aside, and everyone's just trying to unify, to send their love and support and their thoughts.
Yeah, to be stronger together than we are apart. Premier David Eby will not be having the Lieutenant Governor deliver the planned throne speech today, though, due to Tuesday's mass shooting at Tumbler Ridge. So what will he be delivering instead?
Well, Lieutenant Governor Wendy Kogia will come back, but there won't be the red carpet and the 21 gun salute and the cannons that usually accompany the throne speech. Again, the throne speech typically, several pages long that outlines the government agenda. That's all been scrapped, and the Lieutenant Governor will read a very brief, about one-page statement, again, of condolence, remembering the victims. I'm told that the Premier, who was in Tumbler Ridge last night, is traveling. He wasn't here for the moment of silence, but he should be here for that speech, and he will speak to media shortly after that speech. As well, we've heard that Prime Minister Mark Carney is heading to Tumbler Ridge for tomorrow, and he invited other federal leaders to accompany him. So again, I'm just expecting that to be another emotional day in that community. But for now, here at the legislature, there is a book of condolences that many people are signing, and one message stood out. It said, "My heart breaks for Tumbler Ridge," and I think that that communicates it for everyone here.
I was going to say, I think that's a sentiment right across, the province, but also across the country, that our hearts have just broken collectively over what has happened. Katie, I really appreciate you taking time with us today, and we'll touch base with you soon.
Thank you.
That is our CBC legislative reporter, Katie DeRosa. And love might not cost a thing, but dating in 2026 definitely does. As the cost of living climbs, so does the cost of romance, with Canadians now spending an average of $174 per date. And if you're swiping your way through multiple maybes, that total can add up fast. No wonder nearly 3 in 10 Canadians are going on fewer dates, and others choosing cheaper date nights and having the big talk about money much sooner. So with Valentine's Day just around the corner on Saturday, we want to know, how do you keep your dates affordable? How much does money factor into your love life? And just exactly who should be paying on the first date? I know that's controversial, but just let us know. Call us now, hit pound 690 on your cell phone, or you can call us at 1-800-5950, 604-669-3733, and you can email bctoday@cbc.ca. Always leave a comment on our TikTok live at CBC British Columbia. Now, for more on this, we are joined by two guests. Amy Chan, a Vancouver-based dating coach and author of Unsingle, How to Date Smarter and Create Love That Lasts, and Steve Bridge, an advice-only certified financial planner offering guidance without sales. Good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon.
I will ask both of you this question. Amy, starting with you, does this figure around the cost of dating surprise you at all? I have been out of the dating pool for a very long time, so I have no point of reference.
That figure doesn't surprise me, but it is a figure that's a date that has gone well, because it's probably dinner and maybe a dessert or drinks afterwards.
Right, you weren't just bolting after the first cocktail after a family emergency. Got it.
Yeah.
Steve, what about you? Does that figure surprise you at all?
It doesn't surprise me because everything's gotten more expensive in BC, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our rent, our mortgage, our grocery bills, our entertainment bills, they've all gone up. So yeah, dates are 100% costing more. I think it was 17% is the average that things are costing more than they were just a few years ago. And so it doesn't surprise me. It seems like a bit of an investment to me. But I'm on the frugal end of the scale.
I would say so. But hey, I would say love and a lasting relationship, a worthy investment for many. Amy, what are some inexpensive date ideas, maybe for early in a relationship when you're still figuring it out, and perhaps that's not when you want to break out the big bills just yet?
The first date is really just a vibe check. So you don't want to be going to some 5-course Michelin star restaurant. A coffee date is fine. Going to a bar and having a seat at the bar and having a drink is fine. Seeing if there's enough connection to maybe go do something else afterwards. But another low-cost date is doing something that's active. Actually, going for a walk is really great, because when we get our heartbeat racing, it can actually make us feel more attracted to the person that we're with.
Oh, interesting to know. Okay, good to know. A little gym date perhaps is in the future for some, and yeah, you can get a cost effective measure in there. Steve, how would you sort of broach, with one of your clients looking to not break the bank on a date? What's something you would suggest?
I loved Amy's ideas. I back them 100%. We're so lucky in BC. We have all the options for a cheap or free date. In Vancouver, we've got the seawall, we've got lots of parks, hikes, bike rides, which was literally my second date. We got free museum days, festivals, all sorts, markets. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, we do have a lot of offerings here, and we're very lucky that you can get out. And I find those dates perhaps a little bit less. There's less stress to just going out to a dinner or something like a concert. This is just sort of easy. You can, as you said, Amy, kind of play off the vibes and see how it's going if you want to continue. We did get a call in from Sheena in Victoria. I just want to bring her into this discussion. Hi, Sheena. What are your thoughts on money and love?
Well, I want to answer the question about who should pay for the first date.
Okay.
And that's whoever does the inviting.
I like that.
And and I really want to encourage girls and women to do the inviting. Thank goodness we no longer live in the days of my youth where it was really wait around for the guy to ask you. Go ahead, girls. Go ahead, ladies. If you're interested, ask him out. Why not?
Yeah, what have you got to lose? And I love that idea. Whoever does the inviting maybe can pick up that first bill. In terms of having those talks about money and about individual finances and then perhaps shared finances, how do people broach that maybe in the early days of a relationship? Or, is that something that you sort of broach where you are financially in your life as you're even considering dating somebody? Steve, I'll ask you first. How soon or when should this money question kind of rear its head?
Well, I'd say you don't lead with what's your credit score on the first date.
It's not the most romantic.
Might be a short date. Easing into it is fantastic. It's interesting. I've been talking to a Gen Z friend of mine, and they're much more open than us Gen Xers and Boomers are about talking about money. So she told me that they are actually talking about money stuff, finances, on a first date in a honest, normal conversation kind of way, not a probing interview kind of way, just seeing where they're at, taking the temperature.
Okay.
Because that is, Warren Buffett has said, and a lot of people have said this, but Warren Buffett has said that choosing your life partner is the single most important financial decision you will ever make in your whole life.
And I've heard that, and I know that it is a difficult conversation. But yeah, as a Gen Xer, that's not something we were ever taught to really openly discuss. And Amy, I see you nodding. How important are these sort of conversations in a relationship?
Yeah, I don't think that you have the money talk dates 1, 2, and 3. Again, I think that early stage is not to future trip of where this person fits into your future. But when you get into what I call in my book the evaluation stage, dates 3 to about 20 or 3 months before you deepen your level of commitment, you want to have that conversation about money. Are they in debt? What are their thoughts on money? Do they want to spend it all on one lavish vacation, or are they more frugal? And you're not going to meet someone who's going to be exactly the same as you. You're going to have a different money blueprint, but it's really a series of conversations to discuss and to negotiate and to collaborate on how you want to deal with finances.
I think those are all great ideas, and I would love to have people share their thoughts on dating and finances. They can call us at 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can also email us, bctoday@cbc.ca. TikTok, you can find us and leave a comment at CBC British Columbia. In terms of that money discussion, we're saying ease off a little bit in the beginning, maybe wait until you get a bit further. In terms of a committed long-term relationship, how often should you be checking in and acknowledging, sometimes when you started dating, one partner was making much less than the other, and that can change, and that can also change the dynamic of the relationship. Steve, how do couples sort of continue to have these healthy conversations and deal with these up and downs financially?
Well, I like my clients to review their spending together once a week or bi-weekly. I call it a money date. Might not be everyone's idea of the most fun date in the world, but okay, if it has a glass of wine or something with it, maybe it's a little more fun. But is our spending aligned with our values? Is a really basic one. Somebody once said, don't tell me what you value, show me your budget. I'll tell you what you value. So looking at where our money is it going towards the things that are most important to us? And us, our goals, our values, how much do we want to support our children? How do we feel about saving for the future, for renovations of our house or car purchases, or those type of things? So I like bi-weekly, twice a month would be great.
Okay. Amy, how do you keep that spark alive while you're crunching numbers?
Yeah, I really agree. I think it's really, no matter whether it's once a week, once a month, it's about being proactive about having these conversations and not waiting for disasters to strike and then having that conversation when you're in, survival mode.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of having healthy relationship hygiene is having these check-ins. And so there's like the plan times that you can even just put in your calendar. And then there is okay, a situation has happened. Maybe someone got laid off. And then that is definitely a time where there's probably going to be a series of conversations on how the dynamics and maybe some of the responsibilities are going to have to shift.
Yeah, very, very true. I did get a couple of emails in that I want to share. Joseph in White Rock wrote in to say, never, never, never get involved with someone who asked to meet for lunch at Hope Renfrew's Cafe on a first date. I learned that the hard way. It's on the pricier end when it was still here in Vancouver. And John writes, I get discouraged by the fact that Vancouver is known as a hard place to meet people. I'm curious what your dating coach would reply to this. This did not happen to me, but to a friend. He started dating a woman for about a month, and it seemed like it was going well when the woman asked my friend if he could start paying her rent. Yikes, is all I can say. That seems to be a little bit more expensive than perhaps, asking somebody to chip in for dessert at dinner. But Amy, I want to ask you the question that John asked. It's kind of this thought that Vancouver is a very unfriendly city and it's hard to make connections. How do you advise people in a place like Vancouver to sort of bridge that gap and get that spark with somebody?
I'll tell you a secret. Whether I have clients in Vancouver or LA, they all say the same thing, that dating sucks in their city. And so
maybe just dating sucks. And we looked into this.
Yeah. So I talk about in my book the dating funnel, and the very top of the funnel is what I call prospecting. This is lead generation, and so you always want to have 3 sources of lead generation of meeting people. So online dating might be one of them. Another one is joining something like a running club or some physical activity where you're going to see the same people regularly for a period of time. There's something called the mere exposure effect, and it explains how the more we are exposed to someone, the more we see someone, the more it amplifies the base feeling. So if you met someone in a dance group and you had a little bit of a connection, not sure what that type of connection that is, the more you see them, the more that feeling is going to amplify.
Okay, good to know. And hopefully John was listening in and can take that information to heart. Steve, you deal with, people, I would assume, in various stages of their lives. And I'm curious how that impacts their sort of romantic outlook, in terms of who they want to connect with, if they're, starting out in their career, if they have suddenly made quite a bit of money. Does that change the circles they're running in? Have you noticed any trends and shifts sort of in your clients when it comes to how much they're making in terms of how they're dating?
Well, one thing I can say is that after people have gone through a divorce or separation and they're back on the dating scene, their attitudes toward dating and money really change because in the vast majority of cases, they're a lot more protective. So a lot of my clients who have come together later on in life do not join their finances at all, even though it would be better for different reasons. They don't want to do it. I found that quite interesting. There's been maybe there's been financial infidelity in the past, or maybe just the impact of divorce has impacted them.
No, I can understand that completely. And Amy, do you see that at all with the people you're talking to? If they've sort of taken a financial hit in their past due to a relationship, how that sort of shapes how they want to date going forward?
Yeah, I definitely see that. If you've been burned financially in your relationship, or at least you perceive you've been burned, then what happens is if you haven't done the work to process and heal that, it's very easy to fall into the cognitive distortion that everyone can't be trusted and that they're after your money. And that's when we walk around with walls around our heart, and then we're wondering why we're not really connecting with anyone. So yeah, I think it's a previous association that the relationship will equal pain or financial loss. And not every relationship is going to be that way. And part of getting into a relationship requires the risk. And you might get heartbroken. You might meet someone and thought they were someone that you could trust, and then your trust was broken. And that, unfortunately and fortunately, is the journey of life and love.
I suppose there's always something that you will have to risk losing. We got another email in from Jules. And before I read that, keep sending your emails in, but also call us, and you can either ask a question or share a story about love and finances. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can email us bctoday@cbc.ca or leave a comment on our TikTok live at CBC British Columbia. Jules wrote in, after 3 marriages, I've learned to save a lot of time. Now I just give them the house up front and go sailing instead of getting into a relationship. It saves a lot of time. Hey, Jules, whatever is working for you in your relationships. So obviously, very extreme view there, but I think perhaps somebody that has been burned a couple of times. Steve, you talk to people as well, sort of as they're starting out their careers, but also once they have maybe established their finances and are thinking about, retirement or have retired. What are some of the keys to success in terms of finances and relationships you've seen with people that have taken that entire journey together?
I would say having similar goals and values. And do we want to end up at the same place? And do I want to end up with you? That's huge. And sometimes clients will come to me and they'll say, oh no, my spouse isn't going to come to the meetings. I'm going to, I'll just tell them. And I say, no, sorry, I won't meet only with one person in a couple. And traditionally there's a money person, someone who enjoys managing money, and someone who doesn't enjoy managing the money. And, but I always insist that they both come, because if, as a financial planner, I say, well, you should sell your house and move to the countryside somewhere, your spouse might not be too happy about that. Not that you have to do what I say, but it should be a joint decision is what I'm saying. So if people are planning a future together, make sure that everyone's crystal clear on what we're working towards and the choices we're making around spending, how much we want to support the kids, where we want to live in the future, how much travel we want to do, or how we want to spend our future. And those answers should more or less match up.
Okay. Amy, another question's come in from our audience, and they're curious about, whether being financially generous, isn't that a good way to sort of, woo a potential love interest to take them out and treat them? Or is that sort of giving them perhaps a skewed view of who you truly are and what your financial shape really is? Or does it sort of set up this unhealthy dynamic?
I think if you're being generous as a way to manipulate an outcome or get someone's validation, that root energy is coming from the wrong place.
Okay.
But generosity overall is a very, very attractive characteristic. And I'm not just talking about money. Like, being generous means being generous with your heart, your spirit, your money. And it's really about coming from a place of abundance on that, hey, I have enough and I'm willing to share. Right. A lot of people who've been hurt don't do that because they're like, well, someone's going to take advantage of me. But those people really struggle with being able to bond.
Yeah, no, I can see that. But yeah, good point. It's not just the money that you need to be generous with. There's so many other values you have, like your time and your spirit and your willingness to do things. Amy, have dating apps really shaped how we view dating and maybe that monetary interaction that people have? I'm just curious if that, around the time that we saw everybody swiping left or right, has that changed the sort of financial rules around dating?
I think people are using dating apps and they're going on many dates per week sometimes. Whereas before dating apps, you couldn't really, you maybe met someone you connected with maybe once a month if you were lucky. So just the sheer volume of people, it's causing people to be like, okay, I can only afford so much money and so much time. So yeah, I think people are being a lot more mindful how they're spending money on their dates and not doing the very expensive first date, and just waiting to see if there's enough rapport there to spend the money.
Hold off on the lobster for now. Maybe just some chicken tenders. And Steve, how do you sort of maintain that balance? Things are going well. You're going out for dates. You are accumulating some costs, but you also need to plan ahead for future expenses. How does somebody sort of weigh that, or rein themselves in and keep an eye on the future and be able to enjoy this time, in the present?
I like that question because I was talking to Gen Z, friend of mine, and she said, well, first of all, some of her guy friends have stopped dating because it's costing them $200 every time they go out. And a guy that she is seeing, I think, said, sure, I can pay for everything, but then what money am I saving for my future? And that was early days, and I was really surprised at that. I like the mindset, and everything's about balance, right? Everything's a choice. We all have limited incomes. We have to make choices around where our hard-earned money goes. So how much do I want to spend on this person, this date, this relationship? I think, didn't someone say the key to happiness is low expectations? So taking someone to an expensive 5-star restaurant, where do you go from there on future dates? I'd rather start like down here and slowly go up. Manage
your expectations. I'm always saying the children,
100%.
but maybe that is a good way to go into your dating life as well. We also had a recommendation come in, talking about Netflix and I'm assuming Netflix and chill. That's not too expensive, or maybe even, just a weekend together with a staycation at home. I guess it's just all about, looking for those creative ways to not have to go into debt to find true love. I really appreciate you both joining us today. It's just been a lovely conversation. And of course, I hope both of you are spoiled and enjoy yourselves thoroughly on Valentine's Day. Amy, I imagine you've been busy up to the lead up. And hey, maybe you have too, Steve, as people are just trying to figure out how to break the bank or not break the bank for a big night out. Thank you both so much.
Thanks so much.
That was dating coach Amy Chen and Steve Bridge, a certified financial planner. And that is our show for today.